You on Facebook have done something that you really pulled the comedy community together. And we're talking people from, you'll get a Kathy Liebman, you'll get a Larry Ambrose, and you'll get like an open micer. You came up with this. How'd you come up with the idea where you put up every day, and you do it every day religiously, which is great. You put up a premise, and then you put up a few of your jokes, and then everyone just jumps on it. Like it's if you see it, I'm always like, and I always get happy when you give a like, or if someone says, I get a few people that like it, I'm like, all right, that's a good joke. But how'd you come up with the idea? And did you think people would jump on it like they have?
So, okay, there's a real origin to how this evolved. I have so many books in my office, and I don't read them. I've read the titles, but I don't read the books. So I thought each day I'm going to read a page from a book and try to make a joke about it. And then one of my books is by Jean Parrott, who was like Bob Hope's writer and Phyllis Stiller's writer, and I'm friends with his daughter, Linda
Let me
Parrott.
let
And
me let me interrupt. Let me 1 second. I remember years ago when I was starting comedy, I got the Jean Perrette roundtable, and I remember one of my jokes made it, and I was like ecstatic. I was like, "Holy shit! I made Jean Perrette," and I'm friends with his daughter too. But that's funny when you said that because he was such an influential writer, and so many comics of our generation know who he was because he was the person who was really. I mean, he was a joke writer. He wrote for everybody.
and he came to one of my shows once with I was on the show with Jimmy Brogan, and afterwards his daughter wrote to me, and I guess Jimmy was, you know how Jimmy talks to the audience. So Jimmy Brogan was talking to this guy, Gene Parrott, who was a comedy writer. And I'm like, I know who that is. I had met him once before when I was on a show with Bob Hope. Um, and I became friends with him. So he would come to a lot of my shows. And anyway, so I have one of his books, always loved him. And the book is like about comedy writing. And he would give you a premise and tell you to go write some jokes about that premise. And so I really turned that into my Facebook page prompt. So it's today's joke writing prompt. And I don't do it every day, Steve. I just want to say, like, I try to do it every day, but it's really hard to keep up because I read every answer. And like, for example, yesterday's was my mother told me not to talk to strangers, dot, dot, dot. And then some of my jokes were, so I stopped talking to my mother, or this is why I'm single, and then 200 people will pipe in. And actually, yesterday's was, they say you can sleep when you're dead, dot, dot,
And I
dot.
wrote, but when you're dead, can you sleep? And I wrote, that was my
Oh,
response.
I loved that.
But
I
see,
hope, yeah.
okay. No, I was going to say,
Go.
what's great about it is when you see it, because you know how it is, like you don't want to be known as a hack. You have to scan the list to make sure like no one else has done your joke, because no matter what people say, there is joke stealing, but there's also a lot of parallel thinking. So I always sit there and
Absolutely.
and so when I think of something that sounds too obvious, I go, because you had one about I loved kindergarten, and I wrote, I loved kindergarten, but I despise Ina Garten. And I said, no,
Right.
no one, no one's going to be writing that. And that's the thing, because yours, and then you get some of the nuggets because you're putting it away. So then you steer everyone. But I think it's a great vehicle because it really spurs creativity and people. I mean, there's some that aren't good. I mean, that's our you can't help that, but everyone just does it and is supportive, and that's what's important.
I love doing it, and people have come up to me and at parties, and even though I don't even know them or they don't even contribute, they say it's so much fun to read your page of because I leave it open, not just people I'm friends with. And I have it running simultaneously, once on my personal page and once on my professional page. So I get different answers. It's really interesting. Um, I would love to turn it into like a New Yorker type captioning contest, and I reached out to Reader's Digest, and they seemed interested for a minute. Oh no, I reached out to AARP, but and they seemed interested for a minute, but then I never heard back. But I think it would be a great pay or a column, or just once a week have a contest, and then I pick the quote unquote winners. I mean, so many are so good that I just started writing winners on a lot of them because I can't decide. So like the other day I wrote, all of these are winners, I can't pick.
Well,
So,
I'm always, it makes me smile when I get a winner. I go, yes, I got a winner.
I
Because
know.
it's because
Validation.
yeah. And from you, you're the consummate pro. Now the jokes you write though, do you use them on stage, or do you feel that too many people have already seen it? Like when you do your setup, because I know how you write and I know your delivery. Do you use any of them on stage, or are you worried that someone may have sat there and like followed you and already knows the punchline? So I'm just wondering.
I will try anything on stage. I feel the ratio of people who have heard the joke before or have seen it on Facebook, it's not, there's no, it's there, it's not a problem. Like even if I tell it and they know the punchline, I think I can get away with it. I mean, people have told me in general, they've seen my jokes before, they've seen my act before, but they still laugh. So I'm going with that one, Steve.
Coop's Comment Corner.